Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm here with Mike Roselle, who is a local musician, and I'm going to be asking him some questions so you can understand what it's like to be a local musician in the Upper Valley. Hi Mike.
Hi, Jess.
Okay, so when did you begin playing and why and who influenced you?
Well, my big brother influenced me way back. When I was just a little kid, I used to beat on phone books and coffee cans with drumsticks. I bought my first bass guitar when I was about 16, and I've been playing bass ever since, and got into music big time when I was like 18, 19 years old, and started playing out around that time.
Do you have any favorite bands?
Oh, I've got lots of favorite bands. I've always been a huge fan of the Beatles.
Me too.
I like the Rolling Stones a lot, and Led Zeppelin, and the classics, you know, Who and Pink Floyd. I like just about everything. Johnny Cash, Buck Owens, you name it. If it's good music, it's good music. I don't care what genre or what era.
Yeah.
If it's good music, I like it. It's got to have a melody and all the good things.
Yeah. All right. What is it like to be a local musician? Is it hard, easy, difficult?
All of the above. It depends on what you're trying to do. Like right now, I've got a project that me and a friend of mine are doing, and trying to piece together ideal candidates to come in and play with you is difficult. It's like adopting a family member, you know, because when you're in a band with somebody, you spend so much time with them and so much intimate time with them that you have to be able to get along with them. They have to be almost like a family. And having someone come off the street and say, yeah, I can play, is fine. You know, I know a lot of people that can play. There's a couple of people that I know that are fantastic bass players, but personality-wise, they just don't fit. So it's hard getting things off the ground, and when it finally does click and it sounds good and you're gigging and you're moving forward, it's very exciting. So it can be the full spectrum, you know, all the way from pulling your hair out in frustration and you can't find anybody to awesome, and everything in between.
Alright. And for gigs, could you explain the process? Like, how does that go?
Well, typically, if you're going to play a club, you've got to do the footwork. You have to, first of all, have something that the person who's booking the gigs can look at and listen to. If you have a demo, or some video of another gig or something that they can say, hey, listen to this when you get a moment. You do the footwork, you go out to bars, you drop off a card, you drop off a demo CD, say you want to play out, and then if they have any openings, they'll call you. You have to be persistent. Sometimes you get lucky, and you'll know a person who knows a person who knows a person, and then all of a sudden they say, hey, you want to come down and play on a Thursday or a Friday or whatever. And you go in and the owner hears you and, hey, I want you to come back. You know, so it's tough getting the momentum, getting the name recognition. You get bands like the Gully Boys or Chester Jigs or the Wheelers or you know, Conniption Fits or anybody like that they've been playing out for a few years. Everybody who listens to music knows them. And so do the club owners. So when they walk in and say, hi, we're the Wheelers, they say, sure, well, I've heard about you guys, let's go. Getting to that point takes a lot of work. A lot of work.
Okay. Now, you write your own songs, so songwriting, how do you do that? Where do you find inspiration? Do you write the melody or the lyrics first?
It, again, depends on what's going on at that particular moment. I write a couple different ways. Sometimes I'll be driving down the street in my car and I hear somebody say something, and then I'll I'll say, well, that sounded, on the radio or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll move it around to where it's a cool line. I'll get a line, and I'll jot it down. I keep a pen wherever I happen to be sitting. And sometimes that's all it takes. You start off with a line, and then you get another line that rhymes, and then you put a couple more together, and all of a sudden you got a verse, and then you grab the guitar and you strum it, and then it just gets organic and it grows from there. Sometimes you have to beat the living crap out of it to try to make it fit. I've written songs that got a great hook or a great line, but the rest of it doesn't fit. And I personally like it when all of a sudden I just think of something and it just comes flowing out, and 10 minutes later you got a song.
Yeah.
Grab a guitar, throw it together, and then you spend a few days polishing it and write it down. I always write everything down, that way I won't forget it. Sometimes I'll be sitting with the guitar and a certain chord progression I'll like, and I'll write that down, and then the words will kind of flow into that. And it depends on where your head is at the time. If you're depressed or angry, or you're breaking up with somebody, or you're falling in love with somebody, or you're mad at your boss or something, you can tap into that rather than be destructive and yell and cause, you can channel that into something more constructive, verbally, musically. And a lot of my stuff, I do that. A lot of my songs tend to be a little aggressive. Well, she done left me, so here's what she's going to get, and also too, when you listen to certain music, like you listen to some old blues, or you listen to some old, old country and western songs. Sometimes, you'll think of something and it'll trigger something. And it's just a matter of writing it down and working it. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
Finding the time to sit down and work it.
And how many songs have you written of your own?
I used to write more songs when I was younger, but those have kind of faded off into the past. I've been on a good run here for about 6-8 months now. I've been aggressively writing for this new band that we're putting together. I've got maybe 20-25 songs for that band, and I write, poems and different things too that just go in the book for reference in the future. But completed songs, music and everything, probably between 22 and 25 right now.
Oh. And how many times do you practice? Like, what is it like getting ready for a gig? Or just in general?
Yeah. Well, the band, we're all professional theater people as well, so we have a very aggressive schedule. So carving out a day here and there is tough. So we are lucky enough to be able to rehearse as a group in my band once a week. If we have a gig coming up, we'll try to do twice a week if we can, depending on how comfortable we are with the material. For bringing somebody new in, the more the better. And I also keep an acoustic at home, and I have a bass at home and a drum machine, so if I'm sitting here watching TV, I usually have my guitar in my hand all the time. Just keeping the dexterity going, keeping the calluses going, learning the songs, just playing them over and over and over until they become muscle memory.
And what's the name of your band?
The name of the band is Cat Headlock. And when I say that, people go, what?
Yeah.
It's a long story. When we first started, it was just my friend Chris Corley and me. And we were kind of loud and obnoxious and had a snarl and an attitude. And that was our thing. We made up for lack of people with volume and aggressive, sweaty, screaming, and power, the power of it. And I told Chris a story about, I used to have a cat called Gumby, and we used to wrestle just like dogs, wrestle with their owners. And he would get very aggressive and get mad at me, and the only way I could stop him was to put him in a headlock. So he would calm down after a while, and but the noise and the attitude he had when I had him in a headlock was kind of similar to what we were doing.
Oh, that's fun.
So that's why we call it cat headlock. And we spell it differently so people come up and go, what?
Yeah.
It's one of those names where you have to repeat it a couple times and tell a story, but they never forget it after that.
Can we show people your logo that you
Oh,
made for
sure,
your band?
sure. This is cat headlock. Kind of sums up the band.
Do you want to?
He's got a cigar and a beer and a tattoo and basically a bad attitude. That's the boy.
Did you want to talk about anything else? Those were my main questions.
That's the main questions.
Do you have any like advice for people who want to be, who are like?
If you want to write music, don't throw the rule book out. That's my advice. A lot of people feel that everything's got to rhyme a particular way, everything's got to flow a particular way, everything's got to fall in this little structured box. And I'm not a big advocate of structure and boxing when it comes to writing. I think that you lean heavily on what makes you feel good and how you can best get your story across and make it sound good at the same time. And if that doesn't fall into any particular category or genre or structure, then so be it. You know, that's how you express yourself. And you gotta be fearless. You can't hold back. You have to be able to write about things that are deep and personal and put it out there for everybody to see. And every one of my songs comes from past experiences and past feelings about, you know, heartbreak and anger and love and sex and everything. If you're going to be an artist and write, you have to be 100% transparent and not be the least bit intimidated by what other people might think about what you wrote. That's the most important thing I can think of to say. And do it all, write it down, even if it's just a line, one word, a sentence. Come back to it. Don't think it's no big deal, you know. Inspiration comes in weird ways. You know, you play.
Yeah. I think that I can't think of anything else.
Alright. I'm good.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Sure.
I'm honored.